guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackie and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
With things surrounding the draft, I think everything up until this point in time is mostly groups working within their own structures to evaluate the draft, evaluate the strategy, evaluate their own roster. The next 10 days is, I think, when teams start plugging in with each other to find out what they may or may not be able to do.
Do you have an untouchable?
I think we definitely have a few untouchables, but as you know, in this business, there's nothing is for sure.
Slinging a fastball.
Shooter looking good in the background there, man.
Shooter, Charlie
Walters is looking good.
Okay, where did we pull that from? Was that an 8K camera? That was great camera quality.
So KSTP was there. I believe Finch was doing like a clinic for youth kids. And then, of course, clearly PR tipped people off, like, yeah, he could be available afterwards to talk about the clinic and/or upcoming off-season stuff. So that's
we're building a playground today. If the media wants to come by and ask questions about the playground,
ask two questions about the playground.
Does Karl Anthony Towns like playgrounds? Could he be traded? Is he untouchable?
Would he like playgrounds, let's say, in New York? How about Brooklyn playgrounds?
Portland, perhaps?
Portland
Atlanta.
Has nice
Houston has a lot of playgrounds. Yes.
I love those, though. A couple questions for Coach about the clinic. Yeah, okay. Was it fun? Yeah. Do you like this? Yeah. Okay, what about the rest of your roster?
Yeah.
Untouchables.
So he's kind of setting the scene there, and he did say there's a few untouchables. I don't know if there was a follow-up of, is Karl Anthony Towns untouchable? He probably wouldn't have given a straight answer. I don't know if he would have said yes, but that was sort of the entry point into the Wolves offseason. And hey, we're going to spend the next couple weeks figuring out what's possible, what's not. And so we can get into basically, if we were sitting in a room with Timberwolves brass, what sort of questions would we have? We also have a random Minnesota athlete of the week here today. Did you guys see real quick Magic Johnson's tweet after the Nuggets won the championship last night?
Congratulations, Tim Conley.
Dude.
Magic, Tim Conley is in Minnesota now. I don't know if you knew that or not.
He tweets, congratulations to, and he hasn't deleted it because I just grabbed it this morning. Congratulations to Denver Nuggets president Tim Connelly. And then he lists like Calvin Booth and Mike Malone. They did an excellent job coaching every series in the playoffs. Yeah. Conley doesn't get a ring for this, right? Even though he built like 90% of the roster.
No, I don't think so, because he wasn't part of like this particular team. I think that you have to be part of the particular team, because he left the Nuggets under not great terms, right? Didn't they feel betrayed by his departure?
I don't think it was amazing terms from what I've kind of heard behind the scenes. It was they definitely felt they were losing someone great, which is good if you're a Timberwolves fan. We can debate how you feel now, which I have a take on. I don't know if it's still contentious. I'm sure he sends some text messages after that happens last night. But I don't know about you guys. Maybe you can tell me this is a dumb hot take, but 2 months ago when the Wolves were punching each other and Cat was no-showing playoff games again, and Connolly was reportedly flirting with the Wizards job.
Yep.
I felt like this is turning into one of the biggest train wreck front office hires in a franchise littered with train wreck front office hires. After watching that Nuggets team that he molded 90% of. Now, they added a couple really key pieces that probably put him over the edge, just like a couple good role players.
Yep.
But he helped build the culture. He helped find some of the hidden gems. He was the catalyst, one of them behind the scenes, building that roster. I feel so much better about Tim Connolly today than I did a month ago or 2 months ago. And we kind of talked about this with Royce. I actually feel better on behalf of the Timberwolves watching the Nuggets win their first championship. Similar market size, not similar history really, because the Nuggets have been largely a winning franchise. But for so many years, it has felt like Lakers dynasty, and then there's a Spurs dynasty, and there's a Bulls dynasty, and there's all these like super team dynasties, and half the league is just playing to get into the playoffs, and maybe you can make it to the second round, but that's probably the glass ceiling for you. It kind of feels like Toronto, and the injury to Durant helped that. Toronto and Denver and a couple other teams maybe even Miami, just getting to the finals a couple times with ragtag teams. It's kind of opened up a new world of what's possible in the NBA. So I sit here this morning feeling a lot better about the Timberwolves and a lot better about Tim Connelly. Or is that a hot take?
No, it's not a hot take. But I think there are some questions here because Conley was obviously part of an infrastructure in Denver that he was a key part of that was very, very good and solid. I mean, at the end of the day, somebody in the second round said Joker's the guy to take. And like, that's the type of pick that just is a franchise changer because it's a second round pick out of nowhere. So I still think the Timberwolves have so much that they have to prove. And it's sort of why it's why I'm looking forward to the official transition out of the Glenn Taylor ownership era, because the Wolves still, to me, far too often feel like a ma and pa shop. And until they feel like a real professional franchise, which at this point in time, they don't to me, that's where I think you have a chance to pivot and actually start to get to the point. That's my problem. I don't even feel like behind the scenes, they've started to get to that point yet. It
is different now than it was a couple years ago now.
Yes.
Like A-Rod and Laurie have definitely gotten their fingerprints on things.
But they've got their fingerprints on it, but they're still being held. It feels like they're being held at a distance to a certain degree. I think they definitely are, because
they're trying to be kind of respectful to Glenn. And
as Dukes continues to say, Glenn Taylor owns the team until he doesn't. Like it's not it's weird that the Conley hire came from Laurie and A-Rod, and yet Glenn didn't really know who he was, but Glenn had to okay it and all of this. I don't have an opinion about the Timberwolves transitioning to becoming the new Wolves until Glenn is officially a former owner of the team. And then we can sort of see how the business operates. But there's just so much to be done. And the Gobert trade still, there's questions about as well. So I guess my feeling doesn't really change, because it's very, very clear that Denver has a structural, sound organizational footprint that the Timberwolves either have to get to, but really aren't there yet.
And Denver built it in the draft, right? I mean, look at what they've been able to do here. Jamal Murray comes back. I mean, it was pretty. I got a little emotional watching that yesterday. Like at the end of him, I'm a sucker for those kind of things. But watching what Denver has built has been incredible. And yeah, there isn't a stranglehold super team anymore. I mean, Jimmy Butler took a ragtag bunch of group here to the NBA Finals again. Denver, who was people kind of looked at as a fraudulent number 1 seed.
I don't know who said that. It must have been you guys.
Yeah,
I was hacked. I don't know what you're talking about.
Tweeted at the beginning of the first round, "What? Don't be so happy about this,
right.
folks."
And then you just look at the mainstays that have been in the finals the last 10 years. LeBron, Steph, those guys weren't in the NBA Finals this year. I mean, Joker's the MVP for sure, but it's not the stranglehold of super teams like it was for like the last 15 years, it seems. And it seems like that's actually good news for a franchise like Denver, who just won a title, but also for the Minnesota Timberwolves, who probably don't have to climb up so many other mountains to get to the top.
Yeah, it's like the door is open if you can find 2 really good players and then build out the rest of your team with good chemistry role players. It's not as daunting as trying to find 3 Hall of Famers and build a super team, which you're never going to do in Minnesota. The formula of finding a really good player or 2, like a Batman and a Robin, and then filling out the roster is a much more attainable goal if you're a franchise like Denver or the Timberwolves.
It does piss me off, though, that in the last 2 years now that Denver has the Stanley Cup champion a year ago, and now the LOB, the winner of the Larry O'Brien Trophy, and that we're still sitting here muddling through. And it's not just the Wolves. You know, the Wild can't get past the first round. Like Denver is Minneapolis, and Minneapolis is Denver. It's the same. I mean, the markets are so closely aligned that it ticks me off that we are still, I don't know, we're still trying to find our way. We're still the ups, when are we going to get one of these damn things? I'm not even asking for back-to-back championships in hockey and basketball. When is somebody in this town? We have every major sport.
Is that, are we kind of going through, I feel like we're going through the stages of sports grief watching that happen last night, where the first I guess the first stage for me was hope. Oh, this is great. Tim Connolly built this. He's now building the Timberwolves. Oh, it's a non-marquee market that kind of found its way in today's NBA. And now, but then the next step is, but why can't it happen quick? I will say the Timberwolves, call it a hot take, call me a homer. The Timberwolves are closer than it seems. They've been to the playoffs twice. They've got the centerpiece player in Anthony Edwards. They've got a couple really interesting young sidekicks, like Jaden McDaniels is one of the best defensive players in the league. The Wolves have some makings here that are really interesting, and the next big trade, which we can talk about. By the way, there's another batch of Karl Anthony Towns trade ideas that hit the internet yesterday,
but
so we can get to that. But like they're closer than it seems, even though last season was underwhelming and tumultuous in a lot of ways.
I'm tired of it feeling, or I'm tired of us considering it to be closer than it seems, though. I want something. I want more. I want a damn first round win by somebody. I want to see, like, when Boston wins, it's frustrating because they're a bunch of pompous asses. And when things go wrong, we hear about, oh, you don't know the pain of being a Bruins fan. Bleep you. But when Boston wins, I don't know that I can put this town in the shoes of Boston, right? Like you sort of can, but yeah. But I mean, again, Denver's footprint and ours are almost identical.
I was watching, it was like the Denver variation of SKOR North. It's just Denver Sports, DNVR. It's
That's
part of
really
the All
good.
City Network. They do
Those
a good
people have
job.
fun. They have a lot of fun.
They do have a
Just
lot
like
of fun.
us.
Yes. And I was watching, they had a live stream going. I just found it on Twitter toward the end of the fourth quarter. And so the Nuggets, and it looked like the Nuggets were going to kind of run away. And then all of a sudden Jimmy Butler has a last gasp. But as they were going down to the wire, 2 minutes, 1 minute, just watching these guys at this crowded bar.
Yes, exactly.
There's 4 guys on screen. Selfishly, I want that to be us at some point. I want us to be at a bar off West 7th as the Wild, like, I want it to be us at the Loon down the street from Target Center as the Timberwolves are counting down. But it seems it's been so long, and I feel like the majority of the people that consume our shows on a regular basis now don't even have a conscious memory of the Twins winning the World Series. So in some ways, it's hard to even envision that podium last night, certainly with Glenn Taylor as the one holding up the Larry O'Brien trophy, but it's not even part of our consciousness. It's not like some of these other fan bases where, boy, they look at their watch. It's been about 8 years since our team has hoisted one of these things. Most of us, Declan's one of them. I was 6 years old and vaguely remember Dan Gladden stepping on home plate. Declan doesn't even know what it looks like for a Minnesota general manager or owner or series MVP to be holding up a trophy with confetti falling. So from that perspective, hopefulness, anger, and then jealousy was like the next step in my stages of sports processing last night.
But it's not selfish. We deserve that. We all deserve that. Like, it's not selfish as Boston. Oh, the Bruins and Celtics lost this year. You don't know the pain of that. Bleep you. You've got chips, man. You've got championships, okay? So it's not selfish. And we, by the way, I'm not even asking for it to be like, it's got to be the Wolves. I want to see a championship here. Now, to me, the Vikings would be the most fun because we have never seen that, and I think this town would absolutely explode. But hell, if it's the Wild, I mean, anything, like when you are a championship city or state, when you have a championship, for a while, it changes everything. You got more bravado. You got a swagger. It's incredibly cool. And that's like, Phil, to your point, but especially like Dex, who's not young now, and people Dex's age, they don't ever know what that swagger is like when you can be like, well, yeah, you know what? We got Stanley Cup or an LOB or World Series trophy or a Lombardi. So I don't think that's selfish one bit. I think it's something that we deserve as pretty damn good sports fans.
I love how Judd's basically gone full CM Punk on Boston sports right here. Like, he is just like, you're a dynasty. You're not the underdog. You're a dynasty. I'm with you. I'm with you, Judd. But it is, like, to keep the wrestling analogies going, like, Minnesota sports have been the mid-card wrestlers stuck on the same scene for 30 years. They've gotten pushes occasionally, like
Jeff Hardy. And then we keep like overdosing and getting arrested, and then like, okay, let's try again.
Yeah, this is like it's Jeff Hardy. Oh, RBD, you finally get to the top. Oh crap, you get pulled over for having dope on you, and now we have to strip the title from you. Like they've been stuck in mid-card mediocrity forever. And I had a dream the other night that we were all us three were at a bar. It might have been Park Tavern. I'm blanking on it a little bit now. But we were watching the Twins win a World Series, and I was bawling out of control. And I am confident that is what I will feel like, or what I will do when I see it. I will be a mess. I will be an absolute mess because I just want to see it so bad.
Well, you can support the Twins on their journey to try and win a World Series at twins.com/tickets. That's twins.com/tickets. Should be a fun week with the Brewers in town. Why don't you play a game? Go get some Twins tickets at twins.com/tickets and then count how many Brewers fans you see wearing jerseys and cargo shorts. Just trust me. That's pretty much all you're going to see when these Brewers fans come in. Fashion statements from 15 years ago. So, go check out Royce Lewis, obviously lighting it on fire. Alex Kirilloff, hopefully he can stay in that batter's box and be engaged with eye contact with the pitcher. Twins.com/tickets. Also, before we get to an updated list of Karl Anthony Towns trade ideas, every day there's just like, it's like a Krispy Kreme or something. There's just a conveyor belt of new ideas, new trade concepts. EcoFun is another great partner of ours here on Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd. 2 shops in the metro area, Forest Lake off 35 and Burnsville off 35W and County Road 42. Youth ATVs and dirt bikes are in stock. If you're looking for maybe a gift for your kid or the grandkid, you can win Grandparent or Parent of the Year with one of the new youth ATVs with a wireless kill switch for the parents as well. Safety, folks. And also scooters in stock and all sorts of fun toys at EcoFun Motorsports, ecofunmotorsports.com. Any quick final thoughts on just this processing that we're doing here before we get into actionables like trading someone here? I got a full list for you guys.
I just have one thing to say to all you teams out there, because I know you watch the show. It's possible. It's possible. We're seeing it. We're seeing teams win. To Declan and Phil's point, the NBA is now a league where it feels like you have a chance. Seize it. Seize it by being competent. Seize it by not being dumb. Seize it by not being a ma and pa shop in 2023. Sounds like criticism now, but you'll thank me later.
Yeah. It does feel like it's so hard to separate the Gobert trade because the Gobert trade just felt like very clunky the last 12 months. But
sure,
it feels like there's some sharks in the organization now that didn't exist before. Mark Lowry is a shark. Alex Rodriguez is a shark. I'm not saying they're perfect, but like they have sort of a win at all costs business and sports acumen. And Tim Connolly seems like a shark. He built this thing that just won an NBA championship last night. You don't think that fuels him to try and, because now he wants credit for it. He's not getting credit for this.
Well,
that would eat me alive if I were him.
He is from Magic.
Yeah, that's true. Magic Johnson's giving
Magic
credit.
Johnson and people like Tim Connolly's great. They're like, he's with Minnesota now.
Wouldn't that eat you alive? You spent 10 years building this thing, grinding it, building the culture, building the roster, and then these guys are hoisting a trophy without you, and you're going to wind up historically getting nothing for it. In fact, it looks like you left and they got better, even though like the key pieces were there when you left. So Chris Finch alluded to this in his meeting with the media yesterday, just kind of referring to the new CBA and how the salary cap is harder to navigate going forward. And so we've been trying to sprinkle in once or twice a week on this show Karl Anthony Towns trade ideas, because it feels like all of these other franchise fan bases and blog bases are looking for ways desperately to, like Portland fans are looking for ways to get a star next to Lillard, right? Now you got Oklahoma City fans looking to get someone next to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And if someone thinks that Karl Anthony Towns can be that guy, awesome. Engage them in a discussion, because at some point you're going to have to get rid of one of these chunks of salaries by a year from now so that you're not sitting in that second luxury tax apron area. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to throw you guys, this is an article from hoopshabit.com. 7 Karl Anthony Towns trade ideas. I'm going to give you 3 of them because we've already discussed, like there's a Knicks idea that we already did an episode on, and there's a couple other ones here too. But let's start with this one. Tell me what you think. Would you do this? Oklahoma City gets Karl Anthony Towns. The Timberwolves get 3 first-round picks, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams, who was the number 12 pick in last year's draft. 6'6" shooting guard from Santa Clara. Really good rookie season. Would you do this trade?
Oh, yeah. 3 first-round picks and two pieces, 2 potential young chips. Absolutely. In a heartbeat.
Yep.
Would say, yes, thanks, it's done. And I would make sure that the league was informed immediately so that the Thunder couldn't back out of it.
I have my questions about Chet, just given his size. I know he's tall, but I think he has the same wrist dexterity as me. I just don't know if he's as strong,
very skinny.
To play at the NBA level. But to recoup the draft picks, to have 2 pieces that, if at the very least, if one of them works out as a really solid player to help you contribute, yes, I think I pulled the trigger here.
I also run to the bank with this. I don't know. Is it like a hardcore Timberwolves fan that proposed this? This feels...
Yeah, it seems
some
like
of
a
the
bad
other
trade for
yeah.
OKC.
And if you're OKC, I get the logic in that instead of uncertainty of young players, and by the way, they have, I'll give you the write-up here. After hoarding an unprecedented number of draft picks, the Oklahoma City Thunder could finally begin to cash them in this summer. The Thunder overachieved this season thanks to their stellar play of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who helped them make the play-in tournament after many expected them to be terrible. Now they could look to get serious about winning by pairing Towns with Gilgeous-Alexander. I totally get the logic there. If you're the Timberwolves and you can get cheaper, here's the problem, though. I don't know. Do the salaries match on this? I guess these guys are high first-round picks, so maybe it comes close enough. They might have to throw in another salary-eating piece, but I run to the bank with this one.
Right, but that's fine, right?
Yes.
That's no problem. Yes.
Okay, here's another one. And again, this one, I think you'd have to throw in a salary matching piece here, too. The Rockets get Karl Anthony Towns. The Timberwolves get Jalen Green and Jabari Smith, 2 young 20-year-old potential young star players. And the 4th overall pick in this year's draft.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yes.
In again.
Yep.
And the write-up, I'm in here too. And the write-up is the Rockets rebuild post James Harden has been a hot mess, to say the least. Since James Harden was traded, the Rockets have won just 24% of their games. Let's see here. And they're also 0-3 when it comes to landing the number 1 overall pick. While Jalen Green and Jabari Smith may turn into stars, the Rockets appear impatient and look to try and win now, starting with an ambitious free agency wish list. So they sign Harden back, they trade for Karl Anthony Towns, and they push forward with just a competent roster and coaching staff. So, yeah, I mean, sign me up.
On the surface, that trade actually makes probably more sense from the Rocket standpoint than the OKC trade makes from the Thunder standpoint.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's reckless and irresponsible for Houston to say, let's build around James Harden again at age 33 and get rid of young assets.
Yeah, but if he goes back there, he's going to definitely have demands, right? Harden's not going to go back there to play on a bad team, so he's going to want to bring in some
for
vets
sure
as well. So
yeah,
like
he would probably only go back if you made a trade like this.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
It might be irresponsible, but the OKC thing to me seems like a pipe dream.
Okay, here's another one for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
The Blazers get, and by the way, credit to this show, I feel like, for starting the Blazers-Timberwolves dialogue.
Well, that's what happens when you have an undercover Blazers agent on your show.
That's right. And when you're a reckless speculation visionary.
Reckless speculation.
So the Blazers would get Karl. Twitch. Ice.
Karl.
And the Timberwolves would get Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe, who was, I think, the 7th overall pick. Was it last year or 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And the 3rd overall pick in this year's draft.
And
those salaries match, by the way.
And
yes, no problem.
Dude, this
third
is a
overall pick?
run to the bank if they offer you this.
Yeah, if I had to rank these trades, I would say OKC 1, that Portland trade you just read 2, and the Houston trade 3. All 3 are far superior than anything that you gave us on Monday's show.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might put this one number 1 because I love Shaedon Sharpe, and the 3rd overall pick could get you Scoot Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, they're all good. They're all good.
So the write-up is, with Portland in the unenviable position of having to choose between building around Damian Lillard or trading him and tearing it down, Towns becoming available gives them an opportunity. The trade almost writes itself. Simons, Sharpe, and the 3rd pick. For Towns, with both franchises benefiting from the deal, Wolves could draft Henderson, who would give them a potential star to pair with Anthony Edwards while being cost-controlled for 4 seasons. That means his next contract would only kick in after Gobert's ugly deal ends. In addition to the 3rd pick, Simons is a sharp shooting guard who's coming off a career season. The only thing here is you'd almost have an overcrowded backcourt. So you'd have Henderson. You're probably going to want to start him as soon as possible, but he could come off the bench early. Anthony Edwards. Simons is a starting caliber guard, and Sharpe at some point is a starting caliber guard. Plus, you have Mike Conley for a year.
Can this be a 3-team trade to send one of those 2 guards elsewhere?
You could potentially route Simons somewhere. Yeah, you could do that. I don't know, or I think you'd probably rather keep Shaedon Sharpe than Simons long term. But yeah, so I don't know. Credit to whoever the hardcore Timberwolves fan is that writes for what's this website again? Hoopshabit.com and the 7 Karl Anthony Towns fleecing trade.
I think it was you.
It was me.
Speculation.
Yes, I've been running hoopshabit.com on the side here for about the last 10 years.
You read those trades on Monday's show, and you're like, these are all horse bleep. I'm going to make up some really good ones.
Yes. Speaking of horse bleep, the opposite of horse bleep is the Meadows at Mystic. That's one of the best golf courses in the state of Minnesota, Declan.
Absolutely. You can drill some putts like yours truly here at the Meadows at Mystic Lake. You can go to golfthemeadows.com to secure that frequent player card. Father's Day is coming up. Go check out some tee times there. And also you can get your dad that frequent player card, which gives you access to tee times with 3 weeks in advance. Plus one of the best patio spots in all of the metro. You can go to the Meadows Bar and Grill and enjoy a cold one between rounds or after the round of the 19th hole. Go to golfthemeadows.com to learn more.
All right. It's time for a random Minnesota athlete of the week here on this show, where we pit 2 members of the show against each other in a battle of historical wits. It's Declan's turn. It's loser is out. This is Declan's rules now. So Declan had a 3-game winning streak, and then I guessed Matthew LeCroy correctly last week. So now Declan gives clues while Judd and I battle each other. We can guess up to 3 times until we're eliminated, and we can ask Declan questions if we want to, but he can refuse to answer. So a few of the most recent random Minnesota athletes are Matthew LeCroy, Michael Olowokandi, Matt Lawton, and Randy Foy. Judd and Declan tied at 3. I have 2. This is now the ninth matchup here. So let's fire it up.
All right, I'm going to give you guys the NFL Films bed there, as I do not have the classic, what was that? Not Wheel of Fortune. Oh my gosh. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire theme that we usually have. And Audible, I originally had another random athlete queued up, but I figured since we talked some Wolves, let's go with the Wolf.
Oh, wow. This is on-the-fly adjustment here. Okay.
Yep. All right. Let's start here. This random Timberwolf of the week played in 541 NBA games. Any guesses?
Just for I am putting together my top 100 Timberwolves list inspired by listener Andrew. Mm-hmm. And I did some work on this last night. So I've had my eyes on a lot of random Timberwolves. So Judd, I feel like this would be a pretty huge upset if you could.
This is an advantage to you, no question about it. How do you come up with a top 100 from a team that barely is a top 50?
I'm 55 in, and it's getting real barren.
Yeah.
Real barren.
I feel like now it's just going to be like throwing darts at a dartboard. You're going to hit. You're going to be like, whatever. Okay.
This random Wolf of the week has over 100,000 followers on Twitter. This random Wolf of the week in his draft class, it is loaded with former Timberwolves players that I would love to talk about after we announce the winner of this competition here. I did not notice how many random Wolves are in his draft class. Some prominent, some random.
Okay.
This random Wolf of the week, I mentioned the games played total. He played in 155 games with the Pups. Including
541. Yep.
18 playoff games with the Wolves.
$18.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I kind of want to give this clue, but it might give it away here.
Wow.
We'll see here. Let's see. Let's see if you guys can just yell it out. I don't know. I did not know this, by the way, about this guy. This random Wolf of the Week is the franchise's all-time leader in three-point percentage.
Fred Hoiberg.
Ding, 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 ding.
There it is. Wow. Freddie Hoiberg.
See?
Let's go.
I knew it.
It's like 40. It's like a 43% 3-point shooter or something.
46% with the Wolves. He shot 48% in 2005. He actually led the NBA in 3-point percentage and didn't get an invite to the 3-point competition. Probably for actually good reason.
The mayor.
The mayor. I was
Of
going to say he had a
Ames,
very
Iowa.
prominent nickname.
Mayor of Ames, Iowa.
Yeah.
All right. For a 2-game winning streak for old Macadac here.
All right. So I am doing
That was
the
unfair,
questions.
man. You walked into a buzzsaw because
Yeah,
I
sorry,
had
Ted.
been
Yeah, I thought it
staring
might
at
be a
these.
wild because I thought Dex did a Wolves guy last time, but okay.
We try to match up if we know we're going to talk about a certain topic too, if we can match it. But
I really do that.
whatever you want to do for next week.
Yeah, I'll be
is up
doing
to
my
you.
own thing. Yep. It'll be a random Fighting Pike indoor arena football league player of the week next week.
How about a Minnesota Moose player, a defenseman?
Well, that'd be easy.
I feel
There are
like
a lot of them.
Oh, Mackie probably could get some, but I feel like if Judd did a North Star, that could be just between the two of us. I don't know. That might be
I think that'd be boring
disastrous.
because that'd be really tough.
It would be embarrassing.
It would have to
yeah.
be like Madonna, just to be a name that you guys know, and that's
I
really
can
not
name some
that's
old
really
school.
not super random.
Yeah, maybe just like, can
I
you
feel like it
name
needs to be
11
fun.
North Stars? Would be
I feel
the
like it
challenge.
needs to be fun. So I'm doing questions for the Vikings player, the random Viking player of the week, and this. So I am buried in the basement of these standings right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wait, are you doing it for the Viking?
I won Josh Freeman last week.
Oh, for this week. Okay.
Yeah, for this week, for
A
Thursday.
lot of homework for
then,
you.
And then, I love it.
We'll have to get you the list of.
I need the
of
list, though.
Vikings.
I'll
Okay.
give you the list. Yep.
I need the list.
Just send us an email. We'll figure it out. All right.
Send me a reminder.
Please click the subscribe button on the SKOR North YouTube channel and the like button so we can help spread the word about this awesome community of depressed Minnesota sports fans. And then if you could give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple Podcasts too, it also helps spread the word. We'll see you guys over on Purple Daily today.